Hi guys, how's it going? All of that, and also if you're living in my neck of the woods around Penyrheol and Gosainon, and you're rushing around thinking being a good obedient, being under the government's laws, and all that is gonna keep you in good stead. Wrong. Right, let's have a little look into this, shall we? Right, next video we need. This one be up. There we go. Some of you may think, why am I showing you this? You know what I mean? We'll get into it in a minute, and I'm not going to go in too deep and all that because a lot of you haven't looked into it. So if I went in like fully deeply into it, many of you would get lost and all that. There are a few people that I know around around this area that have looked into geoengineering and stuff like that. So they would have heard people like David Keefe. They would also come across documentaries like what in the world are they spraying, why in the world they're spraying, and a few other things. And there's also many books and all that on this topic. And geoengineering is actually the scientific term, by the way, as well as aerosol spraying and multiple other things. There's also talk about aluminium being sprayed up in the sky. There's been talks about barium being sprayed up in the sky, strontium and all that. It's been talked for over good decades. There was also back before the 70s and all of that, and before the 60s even, I think, where they used to have like chem vans going around spraying and stuff like that, and much more. I looked into this, I mean, and stuff like that. And I used to have a channel up on YouTube before it got taken away, just looking into the geoengineering and all that. And you got to ask yourself a question: if these basically lies and all that going on and so forth, why are they taking down people's channels, trying to warn rest of the public, rest of society? If they're lies, you just leave those channels up, wouldn't you? And then people they come across, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is just a lie. Just move on and all that." But if you take down that channel, people go, "Well, wait a minute, why did you take down your channel? If this stuff is a lie and it's not going on and stuff like that, you know what I mean?" So, luckily for me, I got plenty of channels anyway. You know what I mean? I've created another 13 to 16 channels on Rumble under Roy Wales. As you know, in other words, WW Network. So if you go over to rumble.com and put in Roy Wales, you'll bring my stuff up in with loads of sub channels like God's People, Tech You Dumb, and many other things. So what I got to laugh is more than anything. I mean, I'm busy now, but here a lot of times working, researching, and stuff like that. And I'm also designing T-shirts. I'm doing quite a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And what I find very intriguing, I mean, like these little things here. I mean, these little smidgens. I mean, these ain't like part of the clouds and stuff like that. And on top of that, um, I mean, as you can see, I mean, you got like a lot of white plumage going on as well, and you can see behind the white plumage the natural sky trying to get through and all of that and everything else. And if I move it on a little bit, whoops. If I had my other camera, I would have zoomed right in, and then you would see like little pockets coming out, and then you would see this like spider's web within the geoengineering spray that you don't see in a normal contrail. Despite I've argued in the past, sometimes you can get like petroleum in a contrail, so therefore you could call that a chemtrail because you got chemicals going into that trail. But also when we talk about geoengineering and all that, and the chemtrails, we're not talking about just like a little bit of petrol getting into the trail. Art. We're actually talking about, I mean, numerous things like nanotubes. I mean, even there's even been documentations about the pathogens. I mean, and much more, right? And we've had talks where people talk about reflecting sunlight back out into space and all that. But hold on a minute, plants on this earth need sunlight. People need sunlight, and science have also shown that if you compare the biology of a tree on some levels and our lungs, as you see the diagrams of both, which you guys can go and check. It's interesting how we can breathe out carbon for the trees to process, and then the trees then give back the oxygen, and there's that interthing, and the nervous systems are almost similar. You know what I mean? Which is very, very fascinating on that level. But anyway, so when I see councils and all that going around saying, we're for the environment and all of that and so forth, and then you tell them about geoengineering, which is you will have like the aluminium going down in to the ground and all of that, and trees can't take in aluminium; it kills them, and as we know, aluminium affects the mind, and it causes cloudiness. It also amnesia and a few other chronic illnesses and multiple other stuff. You know what I mean? So when I have, I've had counsellors and authorities, this they're like, oh no, that's not going on and so forth. And even when they try and get people, for littering and all that, no, it's just recently. There's been people nicking my rubbish and dumping it. And I had a phone call saying, "Hey, you've been dumping it." Like, no, I haven't. And also, if we talk about environment, let's have a look at basically the geoengineering that's going on. Yeah, I mean, because when a 4D person, when they see like, oh, wait, you're a walking stick, and they start and so forth. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I told him I suffer with my shoulders and a few other things as well. And he's like, oh, my apologies. I went, yeah, and I was like, but are you going to look into geoengineering and so forth? And yeah, he hung up. But anyway. It's like if they can't make money out of it, they don't want to know about it. I mean, by the way, I continue this. And you can see, look at the mess, guys. Look at the mess of the sky. I mean, that is pollution on so much levels. But we're going to move on to the next video and listen to what David Keefe's got to say. All right. I can't remember. I think that's from the channel Chemtrail Bug. I mean, I think it's from that or something else. It's been some time now since I've been on that channel.
Okay, so what do we do?
So the other thing is horrifying. It is that you could actually spray sulfuric acid into the stratosphere 20 kilometers over our head and use that to stop the planet warming up in a kind of ugly tech fix.
You could spray something into the atmosphere to change. Okay,
spray pollution into the atmosphere to stop it warming.
So in the end, pollution saved them all. We owe pollution. We owe acid rain an apology, is what you're saying.
It would be a totally imperfect technical fix.
Okay.
It would have risks. It wouldn't get us out of the long-run need to stop polluting, but it might actually save people and be useful.
Okay, so how...
And the thing is, well, look down there, guys. Yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't spotted it yet, you've got the Comedy Central type thing. And this one normally happens as well. They'll put like the agendas that they are doing, and they'll put it in like comedy form and all that. So then, if you have people that are questioning and stuff like that, then most of the masses, you may be one of these people that are part of the masses that's never researched properly or done a proper deep dive. So you probably lack the understanding. So you use words like conspiracy theory, tinfoil, and all that because you don't have a higher understanding into these things. That's not David Keefe's fault. That's not my fault. Or anybody else. It's not even your fault for not having the knowledge. But that does not give you the right to call people names like conspiracy theory and tinfoil and all of that. If you really want to know, you'll go and check it. If you don't want to know, stop calling people names. Okay? So, what we got going here, I mean, there's a video that I grabbed a while back, and I put it into my intro. When I go gaming or that in the past, I mean, I haven't got my main rig to do that. I'm on my laptop at the moment, but my main rig's in storage right now. And I would go off that, and in that intro, you would see Dave Keefe saying, riding on the backs of our grandchildren and stuff like that. In other words, robbing the futures of our children and all about with this geoengineering project, because he knows of the health effects it's going to have. It's going to make people, ill on so many levels, and that suits the big pharmaceutical companies. But it's not in this video; it's in another video. You know what I mean? And he's done quite a few things as well. He's done quite a few talks on this geoengineering. So go and research them for yourself, because the truth cannot be told; it can only be realized.
Again, I interrupted slightly there. How does it work? How many planes are we talking about here? How do you do this?
So let's say you wanted to stop it warming in 2020. You'd start with a fleet of just 2 or 3 kind of modified business jets.
What kind of like a G6?
Yeah, like a G650.
Like a G6.
That's
like
it.
A G6.
And you'd put say 20,000 tons of sulfuric acid into the stratosphere every year, and each year you have to put a little more. And this doesn't, in the long run, mean that you can forget about cutting emissions. We will need to rein in
No,
emissions.
we'll get to it eventually, yeah.
But it
But
does.
in the meantime, we're shrouding the earth in sulfuric acid.
So people are terrified about talking about this because they're scared that it will prevent us cutting emissions.
Right, and also that it's sulfuric acid.
It is.
You're bearing the lead. Is there any possible way this could come back to bite us in the ass? Blanketing the earth in sulfuric acid, because I'm all for it. This is the all-chocolate dinner. I still get to have my CO2, and I just need to spray sulfuric acid
Right.
all over the earth.
Right question. But we put 50 million tons of sulfuric acid in the air now as pollution, and it kills 1 million people a year worldwide.
Okay, and that's
so
good or bad?
It's terrible.
I probably noticed there, guys. My laptop, this laptop I got, it's not as powerful as my main rigs, so it took me a little while to just drag it across. Anyway, but I didn't by Wigginton. You know what I mean? The guy who brought the what in the world are they spraying, and why in the world they're spraying documentaries. There's footage in that where he's talking about the spraying going on, and there's like a palm tree in that, and this palm tree has been taking up a lot of aluminium and so forth, and he shows how the trees and all of that and so forth are just crumbling in his hand like they're nothing, because they've taken up so much aluminium through the roots and all of that. And you'll see, I think it's in the 2 videos I got here. If I haven't got it in these videos, then it's going to be in another video where Monsanto have actually created seeds which is aluminium resistance. Funny that, isn't it? We got geoengineering, these military planes are spraying the skies and so forth with all this, toxins, this pollution and all that, as well as there are, they say some commercial planes, fitted with spraying all this chemical stuff, and yet we got Monsanto with the aluminium resistance seeds. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take much of investigating, but true researchers, we go deep diving into what's really going on, instead of like some people a 2-second glance, because I've come across a lot of people and they hand me information from just doing 2 seconds of checking, and I'm like, nah, doesn't work like that. Yeah, I mean, you've got to see like all sources, resources, and stuff like that, cross-reference, and so many different things. You know what I mean? It's not just like jumping on for 10 minutes and then like, oh, I know it. Nah, I've been at this stuff now for years. And many other people will tell you, with their research and all that, one topic alone can take you a whole lifetime. You know what I mean? But let's keep going, because ask yourself as well, how many of the products you buy have got this I mean, altering chemicals in there and so forth. I mean, like the Monsanto side of things. I mean, on a GMO level. I mean, genetic modifying and all that. Because I know Miracle Grow is one of the products that does that. You know what I mean? That alters and stuff like that. And also check the seeds called the Terminator seeds as well from Monsanto and stuff.
But it'll be better if we put more in.
We're talking about 1% of that, a tiny fraction of that. So we should reduce that sulfuric acid.
So if it kills 1 million people and we're only
bad.
doing 1% more, we're just killing 10,000 more people.
You can do math.
Okay.
But that's, so killing people is not the objective here.
Killing people, not the objective. I just wanted to be clear. I just wanted to be clear. All right. Could an individual start this?
In practice, only a country.
Okay. What about a man in like a hollowed out volcano with henchmen who occasionally shakes his fist at the sky and says, "They said I was a fool at Harvard. Who's the fool now?"
It's the natural world.
That's what they do in there. Like we always see through Hollywood, through multiple things and all that. Yeah, I mean, they sort of like always trying to paint the picture of those who actually find out what's really going on as this angry, person and all of that, supposed to be nuts and everything else. And so then when somebody comes with a different opinion and so forth, they've then embedded through nudge techniques and everything else. So when you then hear it, you go, "Oh, you're just an angry fool." I mean, you go and look for the truth and research. No, you're just a conspiracy angry fool. Because I mean, type of person. Notice what they're doing there, and through comedy, right? What a lot of people, I mean, I've already said it in the past and all of that, where comedy can be used to keep your defenses down. The public defenses are down. So while they're doing all this stuff and all of that and so forth, the audience and those watching it and so forth that are not aware of it, they're being programmed to then just go, no, I mean, this ain't going on and so forth and all that. I mean, when you watch it from a psychological point of view and all of that, you can see it a mile off. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's keep going.
I won't
shake your fist and say the fools.
It's the natural worry, but I think in the end, no. This would be done by major countries, but the problem is how countries agree about where to set the thermostat, who decides, and my biggest reason for writing the book and for talking about it is my view that we won't make good decisions in ignorance.
So we have to have the discussion now so that when it becomes our last hope, people can say, "Hey, we talked about this. Remember, we said we get to do it."
The worst way to make decisions about this would be if we all agree that we won't talk about it in polite society, we suppress it, which is basically what had been happening, and then in 2030, suddenly in a crisis, we make fast decisions.
Maybe it's happening already. You ever look at those planes up there? They have contrails behind them. Maybe all those planes with the contrails, maybe they're actually spraying chemicals into the atmosphere right now, and Uncle Sam isn't telling us.
It seems extreme.
Notice how they always saying it's the government that's doing it all and all that. Yes, government may be passing on our taxes to them, but it's also the technocratic giants linked in with maybe like a military complex or something like that that's going on. I mean, because it's this. I mean, David Keefe is a scientist and all that, and plus you got other scientists involved and all that. How many people out there would link a lot of this crap that we're seeing today with science, with the scientists out there? Because yes, you got some that are independent, some are government, and also you got those that are actually within the corporations themselves type of science as well. I mean, that's why I always laugh when people say, trust the science, and I come along and I go, okay, which science we're on about? Because don't forget, there are many different types of departments in science. I mean, like when you're in school, about chemistry, biology, and physics. There's 3 different departments right there. Then you got you've got the cosmetology. You got all this other different stuff as well. and we can go on and on and on and on. You know what I mean? So that's why I always say to people, right, which science are you on about then? You know what I mean? Say trust the science, which one? When they say trust the science, they mean don't think for yourself and don't question and all of that. Be part of the cult and just follow your master. That's when they say trust the science. And when people actually do proper science, like question, they show evidence, you know what I mean, and much, much more. They've done the research, they've done the investigation. They just show what the data shows instead of having a pre-concept, and you know what I mean. So basically, whatever the data shows and all of that and everything, and as long as it's the truth, people should be fine with it. But no, what we've got going on is a lot of bullshit from the establishment because they just want us to just follow the slave master instead of finding out what's really going on.
Unlikely.
That the United States is not telling something to its citizens? That seems extremely likely to me. Read the newspaper. I think they might have your idea already. Dr. Mister, thank you so much. David Keith, A Case for Climate Engineering. We'll be right back.
And there's one word as well that I don't hear many people saying as well. I've already come like 2 other people while looking into this. Yeah, I mean, people talk about geoengineering, chemtrailing, and all of that. But also, there's another word beginning with T called terraforming. Look into that as well. And I mean, which is very interesting side of things. But we'll move on to the next one.
Okay. My name's Chris. I'm a nurse, and I have some concerns about geoengineering. Stephen, I'm kind of in line with you on your theories. I believe that there's deeper issues here when you look at like the stratospheric wells back patent already in existence, and you look at Raytheon's patent 5003186 for the aluminum, and you get the Monsanto connection with their aluminum-resistant seed. And it's not just sulfur, I think, we're talking about here. I think it gets into a much deeper ethical debate. And I'm concerned about, just from a medical standpoint, if we do other, I mean, we know Bill Gates has invested heavily into his sulfur geoengineering and his 500,000 stocks of Monsanto. So I'm worried about the aluminum and neuroprogressive diseases in the future if this is more than sulfur. I personally like the volcanoes because I'm an enthusiastic person of zeolite powder as far as heavy metal detox. So I'm concerned about geoengineering in general, and I don't think we should do it.
Okay. So I think, just guessing because I've had lots of interaction with folks, that you're probably talking about what is called the chemtrails conspiracy.
Oh, so obscure issue. It's not.
So I'm happy to let you talk if you want.
Chemtrails is like not a very good term. It's solar radiation, advanced obscuration, those types of things.
I'm just doing my best.
Conspiracy. He didn't have to say conspiracy theory. And there's a reason for that. Because he knows that the programming with the word conspiracy is now automatically linked with the other word theory. Now, both those words are, on a individual level, but people, when they hear conspiracy, they bring the other word in. I mean, and which they shouldn't, they shouldn't do that as an, automatic level, because theory is just things that you're theorizing things over that you have an idea, you talk about it and how to bring it about. So you just it's not into being and all that and so forth. You haven't brought it into reality and stuff like that. But conspiracy it means criminal and all of that and everything else, or people about to do bad things and everything else and a lot more and so forth. So when people then sort of hear the word conspiracy, they notice how they've already got the answers in their head when anything that isn't like everyday life, like, because everyday life is just like going to the shop, paying your bills and all that and so forth. So anything that doesn't fit that engineered model I mean, the way society is at the moment and is collapsing right now. Therefore, people will just say, "Ah, you are conspiracy theorists and all that." What they are saying, which is actually, you know what I mean, they gotta be careful. They're trying to say to you that you're a criminal theorist, and whatever genre or occupation, or then again occupations that do criminal theory, police for one, and private investigators and stuff like that, because I mean, they sometimes theorize to try and connect the dots of a criminal case, maybe a murder or whatever. And then once they go down to certain thing, and then all of a sudden they find like evidence. I mean, they try and get close to the truth and all that and so forth. So you could say then police are forms of criminal theorists and all that, or conspiracy theorists. So people who just throw the terminologies out there without any deep thought into them, they need to be very careful on that. You know what I mean? Me with dyslexia, you know what I mean? And I'm also saying to myself, you know what I mean, I will go and check on those meanings as well. Well, just to be sure later on, but I'm pretty confident. You know what I mean? It won't be like exact word for word, you know what I mean? But that's what the conspiracy theory is. It's criminal theory or conspiracy where a group of people get together to do malicious things. You know what I mean? But anyway, so let's move forth with this video.
Best answers I know, and I'm happy to have you talk as much as you like. But if you want to hear what I have to say, then
Absolutely, that's why I'm here.
As I understand it, and I've invited people who believe in this into my office to talk about it, and you can look for the videos. I've also had 2 death threats from such people, many actually, more than 2, but 2 serious enough that we called the police. People appear to believe a wide range of things, but broadly that elements of the U.S. government are spraying toxic chemicals, sometimes claimed to be barium or aluminum or various other chemicals sometimes claimed to be from commercial aircraft. And then the hypothesized reasons for this are mass culling of the human population or mind control. There's a variety of them. This is not a completely obscure view. So my student Ashley Mercer and I ran a survey, a high-quality survey with polling firms of U.S. audiences and U.K. and Canadian. And we asked a question that didn't use the word, because I don't know what word to use, but we said, is there a conspiracy by the U.S. government, blah, blah. And we got about 2%. Ashley can correct me if that number's wrong. So that's not an obscure number. It's a significant. So you represent a real group of people. So from my point of view, to be blunt, this is a completely baseless conspiracy theory. I have no reason to, and I've seen no evidence, despite actually taking my own time to look for it, that there's any there. So
even the 2001 Space Preservation Act,
I have
2977?
No idea what that is, but again...
Chemtrails is specifically listed in there as an exotic weapon.
Sure, so I actually...
It does exist.
Fair enough. So again, you're free to talk, but if you want me to...
saying it does. HR 2977.
Well, then it sounds like you know the answer, but I could give another few words about what I've done, and then we could wrap it up. I'm happy to talk afterwards.
Sure.
So the things that I've mostly interacted with is people presented me what appeared to be data to show that aluminum was coming from the sky. And this data had no controls and didn't seem to take account of the fact that aluminum oxide is one of the most common elements of the Earth's crust. And the actual data that I saw didn't look any different from normal chemical analysis you see all the time. And I asked these people responsible questions about that and got no answers that made sense to me. Just hold on a second. And the other main thing that people say is that contrails in the atmosphere didn't used to look like they do now. And so people, I get literally, I'm not making this up, probably 1 email a day on average, maybe 2, telling me that I'm messing with the climate personally and that these contrails look different than they used to. And one of the odd things is that there's no evidence. People are completely sure this is true based on just contrails look different. And one thing they say is that they've never looked before. And there are actually some good websites debunking conspiracy theory that have a bunch of...
Listen to his voice when he says that as well. Talk about it. And I think as well, he's hoping people just believe him so that and everything. You don't do that. You know what I mean? What you do is you just put the information out there and let the people decide for themselves and let them go and do the research if they want to research. You know what I mean? But you listen to him carefully.
one email a day on average, maybe two, telling me that I'm messing with the climate personally and that these contrails look different than they used to. And one of the odd things is, like, there's no evidence. People are completely sure this is true based on just contrails looking different. And one thing they say is that they